And here again is the link to access the PowerPoint. Sherry put this in the chat bar, so you guys can just copy and paste it straight off of there. As far as myself, my name's Eric Herzog. I'm a chemistry teacher at Clovis West, and here you can see a picture of my socially distant vacation place over the last 5 to 6 months. And so it was fun getting up in the mountains. There's an email there too for you guys if you have any questions later. And then as we go through this, if you go back and look at the PowerPoint later, there's a few videos that are embedded. You can follow these links and it takes you to some more virtual instruction on Google Class in case there's something that you missed. As far as what we're going to do today, we are going to go through the basics of Google Class, as the title says. Learn how to archive classes from last year if you used Google Class last year, how to simply set up a Google Class, designing an assignment, entering Classroom as a student, checking work, grading quizzes, and that type of thing. Okay, let's see here. Let's go back to our poll. All right, and it appears as if everyone's about at a medium level. Okay, a few of us haven't used it before, so that's good. And let's see. Okay. So, first up, okay, how to archive a class. Okay, simply what you're going to do, first of all, how to get into Google Classroom. Okay, I suspect everybody knows this one, but you need to look for the little waffle icon up in the top right of your Google page or your Google Drive, and you'll see a little icon that says Classroom, or if you just simply type in classroom.google.com into the search bar, that will take you there as well. And I encourage you as we go through this, if you want to open up your own Google Class, you can kind of follow along and play with it, maybe start a little practice class if that's something that helps you. So for archiving, what you need to do is when you see the old class icons, you'll see these little 3 vertical dots here. That's something that you will click on, and let's see. And we can go look at one of my classroom screens. Sorry, one second. Trying to navigate all the buttons. Okay. So here are some of my classes from last year. So again, these 3 vertical dots. Okay, you simply click on those and you click archive. The archive classes can't be updated anymore, but you can access that information again. You can pull information from old classes into your new classes. So nothing's lost, it just takes it off of your general start screen. Okay, pretty straightforward. Oops. So yeah, again, whenever you set up the new classes, good idea to archive the old ones. Okay, you can still access all that material. And now, for starting the new classes, where you want to look for is the little plus sign in the top right corner of the Google Classroom page. Okay, you click on that plus sign, and it gives you an option to join a class or create a class. Join a class is something that you can use to bring in other teachers to your classroom if you have a collab teacher or something like that, or as we'll talk about later, a way for you to enter a classroom as a student, but we'll talk about that later. So to create a class, you simply click Create Class. You go through, it gives you a variety of details. You can put, I'm a chemistry teacher, so I'd put chemistry period 1, maybe the year 2020. You can put for each section, I would recommend making a classroom if you're secondary for each section that you have. Okay, helps to keep things separated and organized. You can, of course, put a subject and a room number. And then when you're all done with that, you just simply click create. Okay, everybody following along? Let's see, let me go back to...
I don't see any questions so far. So
okay. So again, here's my screen, just to review that. If you want to create a class, plus create class, class name, chemistry period 1, 2021. My room's E4. Okay, and it's just that simple. And your class has been created. Stop sharing that. And let's go back to, okay. And then there's a variety of security settings that you can do. The security settings are done with the little wheel in the top right corner. As you can see, most of the things to start a class or to get into Google Class, whatnot, most of those things you're going to find in the top right corner. So you want to make certain adjustments, okay, or check adjustments that you may want. Like if you want students to be able to post or communicate with each other, you can change that here. Or if you want only the teacher to post or comment, you can put that here. If you want to show deleted items or change how things are graded, this is where you would do all of that under that wheel. And then once you have selected all those details and you put in all your information, you simply want to hit save, and then your Google Classroom is ready to go. Okay, and one little tip that I would make for the when you start your Google Class is to check the password that you have for students to enter. Let's see here. What screen do I want? Okay. So when you go into settings, you can scroll down and you can see the class code. This is what students are going to use to enter your Google Classroom. It's kind of a good idea to check what letters you have involved. You kind of want to stay away from L's and I's and O's and zeros and that kind of thing, because those can get confusing, and these are type and case sensitive. So if you want a little simpler passcode, you can simply just hit reset, and it will reset that code until you get something that's a little more straightforward. So something like this, to C3BVQT, okay, no I's, no zeros, nothing for students to kind of get confused with. And again, if you don't like it, you can come back, you can reset this code as many times as you want until you get something that you like. Just a little suggestion, something I found to make it easier for students to get into your class. Okay. How are we doing over here? Can you create your own password? I don't think you can, but again, you can hit reset on that as many times as you need to.
yeah, no, they're just set by Google. They're just random.
Yeah, so if you want students to be able to comment. I'm not sure about that one, actually. Sherry, do you know?
No, I'm not sure about that one either.
It's generally best to,
for you real quick.
Yeah, it's generally best to start out not allowing students to communicate with each other, that they can post with you, but not talk to each other. Maybe after you get things started and settled, you can change that setting. But generally, they recommend to not allow students to post to each other. Is just something that I found. Everybody else doing okay? Hopefully this is going
Yeah, no
all
other
right.
questions beyond that one, but I'll take a look and see if I can find a setting that will.
Okay.
Try that.
Let's see. Share screen. Okay, so for new assignments, the basic beginnings of the start screen, you're going to see a tab that says Stream, and you're going to see a tab that says Coursework. Okay, ideally those are the two places where you're going to stay. If you want to create a new assignment, okay, you go to the Classwork tab, you click on Create, and then it gives you a variety of options that you can use, and we'll go over some of those right now. Okay, so you'll see when you hit Create, you'll see this dialog box come up here: assignment, quiz assignment, question, material, and reuse post. This is something, reuse posts, that if you want to go back and access classes you've archived or assignments you've archived, that's a way that you can go back and access that material. One note on this: the quiz assignment tab is not something I really use, is kind of not recommended to use. It's not that you can't use it, but it's a little easier if you want to just create your own form, and then you can assign a form, a quiz, that kind of thing, just straight through the assignment tab. So I usually stick on the assignment tab. And then once you are there, you can make a title, you can set instructions, and then there's a variety of options here down on the bottom that you can link material. You can link material straight from your own PC, you can link things from your Google Drive, you can link things from YouTube, or you can simply post in a link if it's a video or WebQuest or something like that. You can post the link directly into there. Okay. And then you can also modify which students get the assignment in your class. So you can pick specific students if you have, maybe IEP or 504 considerations, and you want to send some different material to different kids. You can use that tab to select specific students. There is a title screen, of course, right? Make your title for whatever your assignments are. And then instructions. I would highly suggest using detailed instructions. In fact, I found putting in big bold letters with exclamation points and stars at the very beginning of the instructions to read all instructions, because I'm sure we've all found that students at times sort of skip over that kind of thing. So make a big point to read all the instructions, and hopefully that helps lead them to what you want them to do. And then at the bottom here, you can see you can assign point values, you can assign due dates, dates and times, and you can insert a topic if that's something you'd like to do.
Yeah, someone asked, is this where you would link Screencastify? So if you have a Screencastify video link, is this where you would put it?
Yes, yes. You could do that. Again, that's the little kind of, I don't know what you call that, little ovals down here, kind of semi-infinity symbol. This is where you would do the links. I'll show you guys that here in a second. And then once you're finished with that, you simply click Assign, and it gets posted up for all of your classes. Okay. So let me go back to my classroom. And let's see if there's any other questions. Yeah, this is where you would put any type of links that you would want to use. Okay, so let's go back to my basics here. So here is the just generic class I made for our session here. As you can see, title, date and time that we're meeting. Here's our class code. If this is something where you're doing a shared screen in Zoom, you can click on this little thing too, and it pops up the class code for kids to see, so it makes it big and bold for them. And the stream, okay, if you just want to share a general announcement, okay, you can click on here and just say, hi, everyone. Oops, I can't spell this morning. And post, and it sends the message out to your class. This is something I would use to put up announcements or you know, if I had a Zoom going, you can put your Zoom links and stuff like that for the whole class to see. Here we are again in the classroom, or classwork tab rather. Again, you go to create, generally use assignment. Okay, you can put your title in here. You can put read all instructions. Okay, and again, you can change the points, 100 points, 10 points. Okay, however you want to do that. Due dates. Select the date and time. Okay, usually make it 11:59 into the day. If you're someone that uses rubrics, English classes, perhaps history, that kind of thing, you can add rubrics here for students to check out. And let's see. Oh, so back over here with adding. Okay, again, you can add something from your Google Drive. You can add something from a link. If you do post a link, I would suggest posting it here and putting the link in the text. Sometimes, for whatever reason, the kids' computers at home may not recognize the link, or there could be some firewall blockage or something like that. So if you just simply put the URL as part of the instructions, it helps the kids to get to the material that you're looking for. So we'll just practice right here. A Google form I put up for Sherry to practice earlier. So we go into my Google Drive and practice form. So this would be like a quiz. The one thing to make sure of when you do a form this way is to make sure you have grade importing selected. Why do you want grade importing selected? Well, because it will make your life easier, and you can directly import the scores from the Google form directly into your Google class, and it just makes recording of all that a lot easier. If it's something, just a simple Google Doc that you wanted to link, here's another example. Here's one tip. Students can view file, students can edit file, or make a copy for each student. I generally, if it's a document or something that you want the students to be able to edit, I would make a copy for each student. And again, that just helps to organize things and you know, things not to get lost, or kids not to be editing all the same document, which can cause problems. So again, I'd recommend make a copy for each student. If it's something that you want to have a link to, say you want to put a link to your Zoom meeting, okay, you can add here, link, and simply copy and paste whatever link you want into that screen. Okay, and again, if you're going to do that, I would suggest also posting the link. That's a very long, complicated link, okay, but that's the link, or that's something I would just suggest to help kids in case they're having trouble with that part of it. Let's see, did I miss anything, Sherry? Oh, and files. So yeah. If you have files just on your computer, okay, you can go to recent files from Google, upload from your drive, or just upload from your computer. So just like you would with any other type of posting to, you know, social media or any other email or that kind of thing. All the tools work the same. Still doing good? Okay.
Yeah, no questions so far in the chat.
Okay. All right. So yeah, these slides just go over kind of what I just talked about, how to post different material, who can Zoom. Again, as I mentioned, make a copy for each student is generally the recommended way to do that. Yeah, if you choose students can edit, it means that everyone is going to edit the same file at the same time. There could be cases where you want to do that. Maybe you have a brainstorming type of session, or you know, maybe you set it up with breakout groups and you want the same groups to be able to edit the same file, that's an option. But if you want individual students to complete them individually, then you want to make a copy for each student. Okay, and here's a little bit on reusing posts. Okay, again, you can select reuse posts and it'll bring you up a dialog of all the past things that you've used, and you can simply select on that and then edit them the same ways that we have talked about. Here's another video link that you can use later if you'd like to, how to share Google Class assignments with colleagues. Okay, again, if you have a collab teacher or you simply just want to share something with someone in your PLC, this could be a way that you could do that. You can also share the Google Classroom code if you want to bring an administrator in. Sometimes that's recommended. Again, if there's another colleague or collaboration teacher that you want to bring in, instructional aid, that type of thing. Student teacher, if you have one, you can share the Google Class with them by giving them that code. Or I believe there is an option, let me check here. Yeah, so if you go to, the People tab, okay, you can, as it probably makes sense, add people. So if you want to invite teachers, simply click the invite, put in their email into that dialog, and it'll send them a link to join your class. That's another way that you can do that. If you get, a student in halfway through the year and you don't want to use the code, you could simply invite students the same way. Click invite student, put in their email address, it'll send them an invite, and go about it that way. Okay. All right. Let's see, where am I here? Sorry guys, trying to navigate all the screens. Hopefully everyone's following along okay. So yeah, there's all sorts of little options. Okay, you can make an assignment live, you can save drafts, or you can schedule it to appear. If you're going to put out 5 assignments in a week, you can schedule it all to release, each day that you would want to do that. And if you do post something and say you forgot to put an instruction or forgot to add some detail, forgot to add a link, you can always go back under the classwork tab and edit or delete or even copy that link and be able to change things up if that's something you need. So editing is available once you have posted an assignment. So yeah, as I mentioned, something I talked about, adding students, you can do it directly the way with invite or simply show them your class code. The class code is the easiest way. You punch that in and as it says, bam, they're instantly loaded into your class and ready to go. This is something with the high school students, maybe takes about 5 to 10 minutes. They recommend for, maybe elementary kids to schedule a little bit more time to make sure that's all done properly. So yeah, this is just a basic start screen. Okay, I showed you guys how to do that. Okay. Again, you would want to instruct students the same way I sort of told you. For them to enter your class, they want to do the same thing. Click on the plus sign in the top right of their Google Classroom, and they would want to choose join class. Obviously, they want to join your class, so they would select that. Then it would bring them to this screen to enter your code. And again, with the younger kids, maybe schedule a little bit more time to get that done the first or second day of school, depending on when you're going to do that. Okay. Any other questions so far?
Yeah, one was asking, will all families be given devices so every student has one? Our understanding is yes, they were asked if they needed a device during annual information update, and if they checked yes. And then they also asked, do you need a hotspot for internet access? So they're working on that. So I would just check with your site admin to make sure that it's across the board at your school site. I had heard chit chat about maybe not every grade gets them if they don't have enough devices. So yeah, just check with your site admin about that.
If I make changes to the original doc, will they get a copy of it? Yeah, if you make a change to the original, it should show up. Also, if you make changes to the original assignment post, they would definitely see that. If you want to be sure, you could always, if you make a change to the document, you could always go back and delete the initial and re-post the new one that you've done. That would be a way to make sure that they're getting the new material. All right. So let's go back. Oh, where to go? Okay, and there's one, we'll get to this a little bit later too, but there's another option to see classwork. I just sort of gave Sherry a couple generic assignments yesterday, so the grades tab is another way to monitor when things have been turned in. You can see them if they are in green, it means the student has turned them in. If they're in red, it means that they're late. So it's one way for you to look through an entire class and see who has done what. And you can also review assignments directly from here rather than going through the individual assignment page. Or if it's something like a credit, no credit type of thing, you can go through and just add that for every student into your class. So that's something you can use the grade tab for. Okay. Okay. So there is a way to import your student roster. Okay, this is a video that can go over that. That's not necessarily something we were going to get into right now, but that's a video link there that can help you out with that kind of thing. It's something where you would start with your own Clever account, okay, whether you type in Clever in the search screen, or sometimes you can have this little Clever icon in your browser. And this is also a way for you to enter the Google Class as a student, but you would simply log into your account, go to your Google Drive, and you want to select in the Google Drive the safe storage for all your files. Then you would go to your little waffle, kind of same sort of way, into the Google Class, and you would continue on as a student. So you would want to make sure your name is here in this dialog, hit continue, select you are a student, and then in the same way students would join, you can hit the little plus sign and go about reviewing material or seeing that things are posted correctly. So join a class, put in the class code. Okay, they all work pretty much the same way once you've done it once. It's all pretty much the same. So to access student work, okay, you would start in your original Google Class stream, okay, and you can use these little 3 lines that'll toggle through. I'll show you guys in a second all the different classes that you have, so you can select your first, second, third, fourth period, whatever it may be. And then once you get to that screen, okay, you can select, as I said, the correct class. And then when you want to access student work, you can do this a couple different ways. Okay, you can hit the little box at the bottom of your class icon, and that will take you to the classwork page where you can access the class drive folder. That's another thing Good thing to point out. I'll show you guys here. So when you open your Google Drive, you will see an icon that says Classroom. And in that classroom, you will find, these are all of my old classes, science fair stuff, whatnot. And you can go back and access old material. You can access current material. Again, if you want to see who's turned in what, it will organize based on the assignment that you posted. So this was for last spring. And you can see all the individual assignments. So again, keeps everything nice and neat and tidy. It will also save any of the resources that you posted. So here's some PowerPoints and videos and links to this and that. And so it will keep everything all nice and organized for you there. So that's one thing. Typically folks don't realize that it automatically makes a Google Drive folder for you that saves all this material.
Yes, and can I interject really quick? Please don't delete that classroom folder or move things out of it, because it will create a huge, giant, enormous mess for you. So you treat it like a teenager's room, right? You just kind of close the door and ignore that it's there, and then just go about your business. But please don't delete or rename or do anything to that classroom folder.
Yeah, it's just, like as I say, meant as a backup, and so you don't want to mess with your backup. Again, in case you delete your PowerPoint, or God forbid computer crashes, something like that. Okay, so all that stuff will be there for you. Okay, so if you want to check a specific assignment, okay, you would click on that assignment, and then that will take you to a screen that looks kind of like this. On the left-hand side, you'll have all of the students that have turned in that assignment. Again, if they've turned it in, you'll see it colored in green. If they haven't, I believe the default color is black. And then if it's something that's late, it will show up in red. And then it will show you all the kids that have turned that in. You can select those individually, or if you use the control button, you can select multiple items at a time, and it'll bring those up in a new window for you. And so, yeah, you can sort by last name, first name, sort by status, who's turned what in. Some different options there for you. And, at the top, you'll be able to see the students' names. You'll be able to see the status on whether or not they've turned it in late or on time. So you can see here, this one says missing. Missing is in red. And it says turned in green. So it's kind of color coded for you. So yeah, let me go out of here real quick. Okay. Let it go. Okay, so here's an example. Again, yesterday, I had Sherry just do some practice assignments. Okay, so here's practice assignment 1. This was just a Google Doc, and remember that you can adapt forms and such straight into Google Docs. In a lot of cases, you can just copy and paste, unless you have a lot of figures and pictures and that kind of thing. But if you want to view the assignments, or you want to view everybody that turned it in, you can click turned in. Okay, so here says Sherry's name, shows in green that she has turned it in. And if you want to review that assignment, okay, simply click on it. Here's my little generic questionnaire that I made. Okay, and you can go through the answers. Okay, you can have, if you're doing math stuff, students can type in math type equations. If you, English, and you have some, fill in the blank, sentence stem, that type of thing, you can do that. Of course, I had to throw something in with chemistry because that's my deal. If it so happens that somebody made a mistake or you want to comment. So, Sherry enjoys reading books about historical fiction and movies about Star Wars and Marvel. Okay, you can add a comment. I like that too. Okay, and you put the comment there, and then students are able to see your notes. Okay, or let's say hypothetically she made a mistake doing 2 + 2, which of course she wouldn't. Okay, but you could put, check answer, okay, or something like that, and it would clue the students in to go back and review their work. You can also return work without a score. So again, if it's something you want kids to go back and try again, or to check their notes or something like that, you can return it without a grade, and then they can review that type of thing. I would highly encourage that in the beginning of the year, you walk through some examples of this. I found students had trouble. I would put a little private comment, hey, check the comments, and they would ask, where are the comments? And so maybe just simply make a mock little assignment and walk through where to check their comments and what it means if they get an assignment returned without a score, that kind of thing, so they know that they can go back and review that material. Okay, so let's go.
And by the way, I did all of that just on the Google Classroom phone app when I turned those in, and I did the form. I went through and made a copy of that document, edited it, and linked it all from my phone. So if the students don't have a computer, or they don't have it yet, or somebody else is using it, they can do some of the work on their phone.
That's a good point. And through the Google app on the phone, you can access that. Also, maybe you have them do some sort of art project or design solution or something like that. They could add pictures from their phone into the Google Class as well. So that's another good option.
And then someone pointed out too, they don't have an entire equation editor in Google Docs. They do have extensions you can add in Google Forms for some of that. I've never really turned that on and used that, but that is an option. But there are symbols that you can insert onto a Google document. There are some math symbols and things like that. So
yeah,
they may not be able to do all of it, but some of it.
With doing chemical reactions and stuff, there's sort of a base way. Again, you may need to show them some examples so that they know, but there generally is a way to show that kind of material for more of the simple types of things. Maybe if you're doing integration or derivatives or something like that, you'd have to get creative. But for those types of things, you can do it. Okay, and so the other type of thing is if you have a Google form. Okay, so this could be a quiz, this could be an exit ticket, that type of thing. In the same way that we did the first time, you can go and look at the assignments, and you'll see here in the top right corner it says import grades, and as long as you have selected that when you posted the assignment, you can simply click import grades. Are you sure you want import grades for practice form? Import, and boom, it brings in the score there for every one in the class that's finished it. And if it's something, remember, you can always go back and look at the form. Sometimes maybe if you have a written answer or a short answer, depending on how you've typed the key, it can flag it as incorrect. And so you can also go back and review each assignment. And oops, that's weird. Okay. Oh, you'd have to go in the classroom. Where is it? And remember, don't be afraid to use the search bar up there when you want to find things. Oh, okay, here you go. So you can open it up, click responses, and you can go through a summary of each question. You can see kind of what was missed, what they got right. Okay, breaks all that down for you. If you want to go by individual student, okay, it'll bring you here for each student, and you can cycle through all the different ones that you have. And then simply, once you've imported the grades, you would click next to that student's name, and then come up here and click return, and that would return to the students all the scores and whatnot that they got. And once you do that, it marks it as graded. Okay, so there'll be two different screens, one for submitted, one for missing or not completed yet, and then you'll have a separate section for graded. And so then you can go back and record that on your spreadsheet or in Q or whatnot. It makes it real easy.
A couple questions have come your way.
Sure.
Is there a way for parents to enter an assignment that the child wrote? For example, when a child colors a picture and writes a story.
Yes, but it's just that they would have to go in, as far as I know, the student account. As yet, I do not think there is access for parents directly into your Google Classroom. I think that's something maybe they're working on.
Yeah. And then how do you get to individual students again?
Oh, sure. So if you want to just see, so if you want to like send a message to an individual student, you can click on people, and that'll take you this way. Okay, and you can send email. If you want to see all the grades for everyone in the class, you can go to grades, and that will list all your students and all of the individual assignments that you posted. Or the third way is just going through classwork. Click on that assignment. Okay. And that will take you to get there. So there's many roads to get to seeing the individual students and their work.
And I found a little something that might make math teachers happy. Do you mind if I share my screen just real quick?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Okay. So this is a new update, because I hadn't seen this before. So if you go into insert, they now have this equation editor here. And if you select that and you click new equation, you get a lot of the math symbols that you may need for students to insert math equations. And I've never played with this before, so I'm not sure what it looks like once I'm done with it. I guess it sticks like that. So yeah, so no, it is now in there. I checked just to make sure it's not an add-on that I had put in there by some, I'm always adding weird things. So
it's also a math type.
It could possibly be this one, but I'm not 100% sure, because I think this is now just an insert equation editor. I think it's actually in Google Docs. So check that out and poke around in there and see. And if not, this add-on, we can make it available to students. If it's not, just let me know.
It says edit a chem formula. I've never seen that. Sorry,
yeah, right? There's a chem formula in there too. So, hey, I learned something new today. You're poking around. Thanks for asking that question, by the way. All right, sorry. I will
No, you're fine.
Give you the
Thank
feedback.
you for pointing that out. I needed that too.
Okay, it's back to you.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, this is, so sometimes maybe you use the Google Slides. You can also add, have everyone in your class or groups make a different slide. This is, you can edit that through here as well, or add comments on each individual slide section. That's what this little part is talking about. And so you can go through and see all of their work, okay, and put scores on that kind of thing. So yeah, on the left you can see how you can view each slide of a presentation. On the right you can open the slide deck and post grades and leave private comments. Okay, so pretty much any of the Google tools that you may use to post an assignment, you can edit and score all straight through Google Classroom. So yeah, oh, here's another tip. At the top of your dialog screen, you may see this plus sign in a dark box. That's another way that you can add comments for, say, an entire presentation. Maybe you had kids, make their own Google slide presentation. That's a way that you could add feedback.
And here's another quick question. How do you add Google Slides?
Oh, it would be the same way as the assignment. And so let me go into, so let's say we go back to the main class and we go to classwork, create, assignment. You could add a slide presentation out of your drive just like you would add anything else. So here's one I did, yesterday, illuminate flexibility. So that's Google Slides. Again, you can select edit. Students can edit file or make a copy for each student. So if you're doing a slide presentation where they're, each student or each group is adding their own slide to the same presentation, you'd probably want to choose students can edit file. If you want them to just start their own and make their own presentation, then you would want to make a copy for each student. Did that answer your question?
I believe it did. I believe it answered your question. And it does look like the standard insert equation. It's a part of the Google Docs suite now. So I've posted a little thing in there about the support if you want to read more about it.
In fact, I'll have to copy and paste that. Okay, what is left here? Oh, and then of course, the return button on any assignment, whether it's the form variety or something on a Google Doc or something on slides, you'll always see the return button here. So let me go back to our fake assignment. Okay. So, I click on Sherry's work and it takes me here. And so I give her a 10 out of 10. Okay, and you can click return. You can return only this submission. You could return multiple submissions. If you had multiple students open, simply click on that. It shows you the 10 out of 10. It notifies the student and that they can check their grade, or again, if something you want, if you gave feedback and you want them to have a chance to go back and edit it or try again, you don't have to put any points, and it gives them another opportunity. So in reality, you can return work and students can submit work as many times as needed. So it's not like a one-shot type of deal. You can continually rotate back and forth as needed. Yeah, and so that was more or less the depth of the presentation. Kind of open it up if anybody has questions or you just want to discuss, or perhaps you could take this time right now and just open your Google Class and try and start something on your own. And if you run into trouble, we can help you out with that. Was there anything to add? Sherry?
There's no additional questions. So anybody wants to just unmute themselves and just ask?
Yeah, just feel free to unmute, or like I say, just maybe play around with it for a second. And if you run into trouble, you can ask right now. Hopefully I didn't go too fast with everything.
Most of it at this point is just playing around with it and trying to get another teacher maybe to join as a student. You guys can practice that assigning, pass off, they complete, you check, and you can practice that with each other. So you can be a student in one of the classes that they create, and then they can be a student in the class that you create. And that's also a really great way to get pictures and things of the student side of Google Classroom if somebody needs help. So if you can buddy up with someone and do that, that will really help you in the long run to help troubleshoot.
Yeah, and it's good to remember that, you know, I don't want to say it's mistake proof, but if you do make a mistake, it's easy to fix, or you can, you know, or like I said, you know, accessing the student work, you can go about that in multiple different ways. And so it's just sort of getting accustomed to what you like and how you like to analyze your work. So yeah.
Sherry, I don't know if you have any more information on this, or if you do, Eric, but you mentioned, Eric, the parent view that you thought they were working on it. So that's something we asked about last semester, and then we've asked early over the summer. And we were playing around with it the other day, and one of my coworkers, she unarchived one of her classes from last year, and it gave that option to invite a guardian, which is what the option is, but the district hadn't allowed it. But then my classes do not have that option. So do you guys know, is that something technology is working on, making that available, and what's that process look like?
You know what, that I don't know. They moved my position from the technology department to curriculum, so I am not sure. When I go in and I look, let me look in one of the classrooms that I have.
You know who would be a good person to ask, Sherry, about that? It was just a crazy deal that one teacher's has that option and then mine didn't, and their name is at the end of the alphabet, because typically you think, okay, well, maybe they're working their way through accounts.
Yeah. So that might be.
It has to be.
I mean, last I heard they were working on it. I mean, you could always try giving the link to the parent. I think.
Yeah,
maybe
I did. It won't, if it's not in the CUSD domain, it will kick it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a complete new. It's added in that screen when you click on participants or students. In the middle, it says invite guardian, and then it lists.
And that could be a rather old, because I know they've updated things since then, so it could be an older, like you said, an older classroom. So I don't know. I don't know why it wouldn't be there.
So in the spring, none of us had that accessibility. And like I said, she unarchived one of her classes so we could play around with it, and I unarchived one of mine. And on that screen, I do not have that option still, but she does, where she can invite a parent or guardian.
So let me look at one of my old ones.
And Heather, yeah, if you create a practice classroom, you can always just archive it when you're done, or delete it. It's up to you.
Yeah, and I don't see that option in any of my older classes in the archived ones. Okay, so let me restore it like they did. Let's see what happens. Yeah, even when I get one of my really old classes and I unarchive it, it's still, I don't get that option.
Do you know who would be a good person to contact? I did send it to my site admin, but I know my site admin is just like.
Well, I do know. So
is there
if you
technology?
yeah, it would be. But when you invite guardians, you're forcing them to do a Gmail account. It doesn't work with any just outside account. So
okay.
If parents don't want it. Plus, I think the reason it doesn't work, I think even if they turned it on, it wouldn't work because we don't have a Gmail account. Like Gmail, the mail portion of G Suite, we don't have that for staff, and we never will be able to because we have our Google domain with the same domain name as our Microsoft, and so it wouldn't know where to send that email. And so we didn't start off as a Google district, and we've been Microsoft for a long time, and this came on later. So I don't think we will ever have Gmail accounts. So a lot of those functions where you're communicating out and emailing out, if it doesn't originate from a server at Google, then and it kind of goes back and loops back to your email, it'll never work.
Okay.
That's why, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's why
there's a lot of
hasn't been an option.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, someone asked if we create a practice classroom, would we just archive it when done? Yeah, you can archive it. And after you archive it, you can actually delete it if you want to see it in your archive. If you're that person that just wants to get rid of things and you don't like things being cluttered looking, yeah, you can, even after you archive it, you can delete it.
Or if you, like for me, I have 5 sections of chemistry. So, you've posted all the same stuff to every class. You could delete 4 of the sections and keep 1 as a backup. So that way you don't lose everything, and maybe it makes it a little tidier. But personally, I just keep them. I'm too paranoid about losing material or something. So.
All right, I don't see any other questions. Chat has gone quiet.
Everyone good? Just got a couple minutes here. But yeah, definitely would encourage, playing around with it next week. And, as Sherry suggested, invite a colleague and you can send stuff back and forth and see what the kids see and that kind of thing.
Okay, and one more time, I'm posting the link to the slide deck that you were showing today, the PowerPoint, and then also the recordings and resources will be posted on that site as soon as I can get those videos downloaded, edited, rendered, and uploaded to YouTube. So these longer 1 hour, 2 hour videos take some time. So we will get those done as soon as we can.
Greg, I guess sort of an advanced feature that you can post the same thing to all classes at the same time if you want. I guess that's one thing that I didn't point out. Let me go back into, so if I wanted to add this up here on the 4, what classes it's for, you can select everything that you have, or you can select one class, or, again, maybe you saw in the beginning, I had a science fair Google Class page. So I would just do the science fair, but you can submit the same thing to all classes if that's something that you needed. And as I mentioned earlier, you can also assign things to just specific students. And so you could put, all students, you could put just Sherry, or if there was something, some accommodation or some modification that you were making for a couple students, you could send it directly out to them and it would keep that. Let me think here.
And as far as letting parents know about assignments, since they can't actually get into the Google Classroom, if you take the calendar from Google Classroom and post it on a website of some sort, or provide that link to that calendar and make it public, so at least parents can see what assignments are coming up and they can check in with their students, and just make sure that you're posting the grades from Classroom into Q on a regular basis so they know. And there is a way to take the grades from Google Classroom and import them into Q. I'm going to post that in the chat also. There's just lots of little things you need to be aware of when you're doing that, and we've put those at the bottom of, it's called Q Gradebook Process Manager, and we've kind of put the problems you can run into. We talked about those at the bottom of this document, so please read those and just know that you can really mess things up if you don't really pay attention to what's in Q and what's in Classroom. And if you've changed something in Q, those things can be overwritten. So I'm going to post that also in the chat for you if you guys want to open that up and take a look at that document too.
I think too, a lot of the sites are doing professional development on that next week on how to import from Google Class to Q. So I think that's something everyone should see. One other thing I forgot to mention is the theme and upload photo stuff. So you can, you can select something specific. I added some pictures of student work last year to the start screen. It's just something nice to make it unique. Also on the left here, it gives you a readout of things that are coming up due or things that are past due. So that's a quick way. Also for students to check, something you'd want to point out for them to monitor what things are assigned, as the class stream can get a little crowded once you get into the year. What else? Oh yeah, here's a link to Google Calendar. So again, if that's something that you start or you share with parents, you can link to that. Yeah. I guess that's all I can think of right now.